Workplace bullying and harassment. Avoid having an adverse impact on another's emotional and psychological well-being. The learning objectives for this course. What is workplace bullying? How does workplace bullying occur? What are its effects and potential indicators? How to recognize workplace bullying and harassment? What are the types of bullying and harassment? How to prevent it from happening? And a few final thoughts. What is workplace bullying? Workplace bullying is a persistent pattern of mistreatment from others in the workplace that causes either physical or emotional harm. It can include such tactics as verbal, nonverbal, psychological, and physical abuse, as well as humiliation. This type of workplace aggression is particularly difficult because, unlike the typical school bully, workplace bullies often operate within the established rules and policies of their organization and their society. It can also come from coworkers, supervisors, employers, or external sources. The Workers' Compensation Act states that there are a few duties of employers, workers, and supervisors. They must ensure or protect the health and safety in the workplace from bullying and harassment. And they must enforce the occupational health and safety, or OHS policies, on workplace bullying and harassment, effective November 1st, 2013. What is workplace bullying? A persistent pattern of behaviors that includes threatening, intimidating, degrading, undermining, embarrassing, or humiliating another. And they have an adverse impact on another's emotional and psychological well-being. There are some things that might look like bullying and harassment and are not bullying and harassment if they are done in an appropriate way. Some of these things are expressing differences of opinion, offering constructive feedback, making a legitimate complaint about another worker's conduct, reasonable management action, including decisions about job duties and work to be performed, workloads and deadlines, layoffs, transfers, promotions, and reorganizations, work instruction, supervision, or feedback, work evaluation, performance management, and discipline, suspensions, or termination. How does workplace bullying occur? It can be through ignorance of the issue which happened. Sometimes it might be supported through action or inaction of the management. It could be that the organization has no systems of reporting or protection for victims. And it could be that stressed employees are taking their frustration out on others. What are its effects and the potential indicators? Here are a few things that workplace bullying and harassment might result in. First, there can be health and safety issues. It might distract someone who is performing a dangerous task. There can be physical and or psychological injury. We might see lower productivity in employees, as well as lower morale. We also might see higher absenteeism rates and higher staff turnover. This includes targets of bullying and harassment, as well as their coworkers. And interestingly, bullying is 4 times more prevalent than sexual harassment. What are some indicators of bullying or workplace harassment? Imposing unreasonable or inappropriate work demands, unduly criticizing work performance, making false accusations, stealing credit for another person's work, denying training or other resources for success, uninvited invasion of space and scrutiny of emails, or interfering with others' work. How can you recognize workplace bullying and harassment? First, aggression. This may be yelling or shouting at an employee, exhibiting anger or aggression verbally or non-verbally. It can take the form of intrusion. This might mean tampering with someone's personal belongings, or stalking, spying, or pestering someone. Coercion is another form it can take. This might include aggressively forcing or persuading someone to say or do things against their will or better judgment. It can take the form of punishment. This might be undeservedly punishing an employee with physical discipline, psychologically through passive aggression, or emotionally through isolation. Another form you might see is belittling. This is when someone is persistently disparaging someone or their opinions, ideas, work, or personal circumstances in an undeserving and inappropriate manner. Embarrassment is another. This can include embarrassing, degrading, or humiliating an employee publicly in front of others. Revenge, anytime an employee is seeking unfair revenge when a mistake happens. We might also see threats, threatening unwarranted punishment, discipline, termination, and or physical, emotional, or psychological abuse. Another form is offensive communication. This is communicating offensively using profanity, demeaning jokes, untrue rumors or gossip, or harassment. And finally, campaigning might occur. This is launching an overt or underhanded campaign to oust a person out of their job or out of the organization altogether. So what are the types of bullying and harassment? There are 6 main types: verbal harassment, sexual harassment, third-party harassment, power harassment, cyberbullying, and of course, physical harassment. Obvious verbal harassment behaviors include things like threatening, yelling, insulting, or cursing at a victim in public or in private. If this is aimed at someone in a protected class, it is unlawful. In third-party harassment, the victims are often young adults who are in a low status or a low power job. Their position in the company, their lack of experience, and their reluctance to cause a scene to make them ideal victims. Regardless of who the harasser is, an employer's responsibility to take steps to stop the behavior is the same. In power harassment, the harasser exercises their power by bullying a victim who is lower on the office hierarchy. In many cases, the harasser is a supervisor or manager who victimizes their subordinates. Physical harassment can include simple unwanted gestures like touching an employee's clothing, hair, face, or skin, or more severe gestures like actual physical assault, threats of violence, or damage to personal property. How to prevent bullying or harassment from happening in the workplace. The employee obligations: draft a workplace policy statement, prevent or minimize bullying and harassment, develop reporting procedures, develop procedures for dealing with, investigating incidents or complaints, and train workers and supervisors. So there are 10 steps to prevent it we'll talk about. The first is respect. Develop a clear statement of organization values, including most prominently respect. Have a cyber policy. Provide training for staff and management in dealing with cyberbullying, and add a cyberbullying section to your company policy. Number 3 is training. Add an anti-bullying component to existing discrimination and harassment training. You can also prevent it during onboarding by being clear about your company's non-bullying culture and policies. And for marketing, you can roll out an anti-bullying internal marketing campaign. 6th, have a company-wide whistleblower policy and communicate that to your employees freely so that they know they have a forum to speak freely. Consequences. Make sure that you establish clear disciplinary processes and communicate those to all employees. Investigate. If there is a grievance, take it seriously and investigate it immediately, and treat them all the same. Anonymous 360. This allows individuals to feel safe in reporting incidents, and it can help confirm behavior. And number 10, have a general policy. Establish and implement a zero tolerance anti-bullying prevention policy. Ultimately, a fundamental shift in culture has to happen in order to get companies to recognize that bullying is bad for business. What are some things that coworkers can do to stop workplace bullying and harassment? Listen to the target or the victim. Don't gossip. Offer support. Document details of what you see in order to share in an investigation, and this includes dates, details about the event, and witnesses. And if you're comfortable, tell the bully to stop. A few final thoughts. Workplace bullying is a serious yet preventable problem that results in disrupting the victim's emotional and physical feelings. If there's a policy and it's accurate and enforced, staff will have no reason not to abide by it. Unless you have a formal complaint system that acknowledges the victim's rights to anonymity and security from retaliation, they probably won't come forward. And 4th, do your best to help foster and build a positive policy and protect your employees and colleagues. Thank you.